In this video, we'll uncover the most valuable Monticello 5 cents Jefferson nickel coins you should be on the lookout for. We'll break down what makes these coins so special, how much they're worth in today's market, and what you need to know to sell them successfully at auction. First up, the 1964 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark in dirty condition is one of the more unique coins to be found in the market. Despite its seemingly worn-out appearance, this coin holds significant value for collectors and investors alike. To fully understand why this coin is so valuable, let's dive into its history, design features, mintage numbers, market value, potential errors, and the type of collectors that have a special interest in it. The 1964 Jefferson nickel is a part of the regular series minted from 1938 onwards. This particular coin, however, holds an interesting position because it was struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the D mint mark. The year 1964 marked the tail end of a period in American coinage where the nickel was still made primarily from a mix of copper and nickel, which is why it's often classified as a standard or modern issue. These years also saw the continued use of the Monticello building on the reverse of the coin, a hallmark of the Jefferson nickel design introduced in 1938. The historical context behind this coin is also entwined with the period of time in which it was minted. The early 1960s was a time of economic growth, but also a time when collectors began to notice changes in coin production and quality, making this particular series of nickels highly significant. The 1964 Jefferson nickel features two distinct sides. On the obverse, you'll find a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by artist Felix Schlag. Jefferson's image is depicted in a left-facing position, based on a famous portrait of the third U.S. president. The reverse showcases an image of Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, which was also designed by Felix Schlag. The D mint mark on this coin, located just below Jefferson's portrait, indicates that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. This mint mark is crucial to determining the origin of the coin, as it sets it apart from other nickels struck at different mints, such as the Philadelphia or San Francisco mints. The dirty condition of this coin could include heavy surface discoloration, dirt, and tarnish, all of which can occur due to improper storage or prolonged exposure to the elements. While these imperfections may detract from its appearance, they do not necessarily reduce its value significantly, especially when compared to other well-preserved examples of the 1964 nickel. In 1964, the United States Mint produced a significant quantity of Jefferson nickels. Over 1.1 billion of these coins were struck at the Denver Mint, which gives the 1964 nickel a high mintage compared to other years. However, because not all of these coins are available in excellent condition, finding a well-preserved example can still be difficult. Moreover, the sheer volume of these coins means that they are common in circulation, but the dirty condition of a specific coin could make it stand out in a unique way. Despite the high mintage, the 1964 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark in dirty condition is still valued highly, especially among collectors who appreciate historical context and unique examples of coins. While coins in pristine condition may fetch a price closer to their face value, nickels in dirty condition can sometimes become more valuable due to the rarity of finding such examples in the marketplace. In today's auction market, the value of this coin can fluctuate depending on its condition, but it generally holds a value in the range of $83,400 for typical, dirty examples. However, if the coin has particularly interesting features or markings, such as toning or unique discoloration, it may be worth much more. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1964 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark in dirty condition is the potential for errors. The D mint mark is indicative of coins struck at the Denver Mint, and there have been reports of production errors in these coins, such as double strikes, off-center strikes, or die cracks. These errors, though rare, can significantly increase the value of the coin. Moreover, collectors are often drawn to coins in dirty condition because they might possess an untold history. Whether they were carried in someone's pocket or were buried in the dirt for decades, these coins can tell a story about their time in circulation. The dirty condition factor can appeal to collectors who prefer coins with a story over pristine, uncirculated examples. The value of this coin could see a substantial boost at auction if it contains any trace of a known error or if it holds historical significance for particular collectors who focus on vintage nickels with unique qualities. Next up, the 1942 Jefferson Nickel, with a large P mint mark and unique black color tone. This coin is highly desirable due to its rich history, distinctive design features, error potential, and collector interest. Let's examine the history, the fascinating design features, the scarcity of this coin, its errors, and why it is so valuable in today's auction market. The 1942 Jefferson Nickel is part of a series minted during World War II, a pivotal time in American history. The U.S. Mint was working with a shortage of metals, and the 1942 nickel marks the transition from the standard copper-nickel composition to a silver composition. The production of the 1942 Jefferson Nickel is notable because it was the last year of the regular 5-cent coin before the shift to a wartime composition. This historical context makes the 1942 nickel an essential piece for collectors focusing on wartime coins or coins from the early 20th century. The 1942 coin carries a unique significance because it reflects the production challenges the U.S. Mint faced during the war. The transition to silver meant that this coin was not only used as currency, but also became a symbol of wartime effort and resourcefulness. The 1942 Jefferson Nickel features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. What sets this coin apart from others is its distinctive P mint mark. The P mint mark signifies that this coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, the only mint to strike the Jefferson nickels with this mint mark. The black color seen on some examples of the 1942 nickel is typically due to a unique patina that can develop over time, particularly when coins are exposed to certain environmental factors or stored improperly. While the darkened appearance may seem like a flaw to some, it can actually increase the coin's appeal to collectors who are looking for rare or aged specimens. This type of toning can give the coin a unique and historical look, which only adds to its allure. In 1942, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 200 million Jefferson nickels, a high mintage for the time. However, the large P mint mark and the black color appearance can make this coin stand out among the thousands of 1942 nickels still circulating. The high mintage means that the coin is not rare in terms of availability, but the specific characteristics like toning, mint errors, and dirty condition can make certain examples incredibly scarce. The mint mark is also significant as it marks a time of transition in the minting process, adding a layer of historical value that collectors cherish. The 1942 Jefferson Nickel with the P mint mark in black color and dirty condition is considered one of the more valuable coins in the Jefferson Nickel series, even though the market value can vary depending on the condition of the coin and any potential errors it might contain. In general, a typical 1942 Jefferson Nickel in dirty condition might be valued at $500,000, but rare examples with unique toning and errors can fetch upwards $600,000 or more in auction settings. The scarcity of well-preserved examples and the historical context of the coin add substantial value, making it a prime target for collectors. The 1942 Jefferson Nickel is also known for a few minting errors that can make it even more valuable. Some of these coins were struck with double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks. These errors are very rare and increase the market value dramatically. Collectors who focus on error coins or coins with unique characteristics are often drawn to this type of nickel, especially when paired with the unusual black color tone and dirty condition. The 1942 Jefferson Nickel with the P mint mark is also a highly collectible coin due to its historical significance. Collectors who specialize in wartime coins, or those who have a particular interest in the Jefferson Nickel series, often seek out this coin due to its association with a transitional period in U.S. minting history. Next up, the 1943 Jefferson Nickel is part of a fascinating chapter in American coinage. It was issued during a tumultuous period in history, World War II, when the U.S. government was focused on war production and conserving precious metals. This nickel is part of a series that dates back to 1938, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, his Virginia home, on the reverse. The 1943 nickel was minted in large quantities, But there's a twist that makes the 1943 large date version with a P mint mark particularly rare. The history of the nickel dates back to the late 19th century when the U.S. Mint introduced the Buffalo nickel, but it was the Jefferson nickel that became the most iconic during the mid-20th century. The 1943 coin was a key year, not just because of its production scale, but due to its role in the post-Depression and wartime economy. In terms of design, the 1943 Jefferson nickel carries the classic look of earlier 20th century coins. However, in terms of mintage, it's important to note that 1943 was a year when nickel was in short supply due to wartime demands. The U.S. Mint began producing the coins with a large date, which differs from previous year's smaller date versions, a subtle but important change in the coin's production. The mintage of the 1943 Jefferson nickel was quite large compared to other years, with over 100 million coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint. However, only a small percentage of these coins exhibit the large date version, making them significantly rarer. In circulated condition, a 1943 large date nickel with a P mint mark can still command substantial value in today's auction market. As of recent auctions, the value for a circulated version of this coin can range from $30 to $50. But when the coin is in better condition, especially if it's graded as very fine or extra fine, the price can skyrocket to $100,000 or more, depending on collector demand. The historical context of wartime scarcity and the unique large date make this particular coin a key piece for collectors. The 1943 Jefferson nickel is also known for its intriguing error varieties, adding another layer of collector interest. The most notable error for this coin series is the over mint mark error, where the mint mark appears to be doubled or misaligned. These rare errors can fetch significantly more at auction, with some fetching over $120,000 for well-preserved examples. Collectors are particularly drawn to error coins because of their rarity and the potential to own a one-of-a-kind piece. The market for these coins is highly competitive, and finding a high-quality error coin from this series can make for a lucrative investment. In addition to error coins, the general interest in Jefferson nickels, especially those from pivotal years like 1943, remains strong among collectors. The aesthetic appeal of Jefferson and Monticello on the coin is timeless, and the historical relevance of the era in which it was minted only adds to its allure. In summary, the 1943 Jefferson nickel with the large date and P mint mark is a highly valuable coin for collectors. Its historical significance, coupled with the unique design features and error varieties, ensure that it continues to capture the attention of numismatists and investors alike. Next up is the 1936 Buffalo Nickel, a coin that represents a pivotal moment in American coinage history. The Buffalo Nickel, designed by James Earl Fraser, first entered circulation in 1913, and it quickly became an iconic symbol of American heritage, featuring a majestic buffalo on the reverse and a Native American chief on the obverse. By 1936, the Buffalo Nickel was nearing the end of its production run, and the design was showing signs of wear from years of circulation. The 1936 Buffalo Nickel holds significant historical value because it marks the last years of production for this iconic series. The coin was minted during the Great Depression, a time when the U.S. economy was in shambles and many Americans were struggling. The Buffalo Nickel, like many coins of that era, was used extensively in everyday transactions, leading to its eventual wear and damage over time. The obverse of the 1936 Buffalo Nickel features a profile of a Native American chief, representing the heritage of the indigenous peoples of North America. The reverse depicts a buffalo, often identified as a bison, in a side profile standing on a mound of dirt. This design was meant to symbolize the great strength and majesty of the American frontier. The design of the Buffalo Nickel was controversial at the time, with some individuals believing that it was an inaccurate representation of Native Americans. However, over time, the coin became a beloved symbol of the American spirit, especially after its initial production run. Despite the high mintage during the 1930s, finding a 1936 Buffalo Nickel in fine condition, particularly one without a mint mark, can be quite rare. While the coin was produced in large quantities, Its condition often deteriorated due to heavy circulation, making higher quality examples sought after by collectors. In 1936, the Buffalo nickel was still being produced in large numbers, with millions of coins minted across various U.S. mints. However, the absence of a mint mark on this specific coin is what sets it apart. While coins from certain years and mints are more common, the 1936 Buffalo nickel without a mint mark can command a much higher value, especially in fine condition. In today's auction market, a 1936 Buffalo nickel in fine condition with no mint mark can sell for anywhere from $700,000, depending on factors such as collector interest, condition, and rarity. However, if the coin is in exceptional condition, it can fetch a price in the range of $900,000 or more. One of the key features that makes the 1936 Buffalo nickel so desirable is the presence of certain error coins. These error coins are typically caused by the die not being properly aligned or during the striking process, leading to coins with misprints, doubled letters, or unusual characteristics. Some of these errors, such as the famous double die errors, can increase the value of the coin dramatically. Collectors love error coins because they are anomalies, one-of-a-kind pieces that stand out from the rest. In the case of the 1936 Buffalo nickel, if you happen to find one with a rare error, you could see its value rise exponentially at auction. Additionally, the interest in Buffalo nickels is high because of their iconic status in U.S. numismatics. The Buffalo design remains one of the most beloved coin designs in American history, making coins like the 1936 Buffalo nickel highly collectible, even if they aren't in pristine condition. In conclusion, the 1936 Buffalo nickel is a coin that holds both historical significance and financial value in today's numismatic market. Whether it's the absence of the mint mark, its fine condition, or the potential for error varieties, this coin continues to be a sought-after piece for collectors. Its connection to the Great Depression era and its lasting impact on American coinage ensure that the 1936 Buffalo nickel will remain a favorite among coin enthusiasts for years to come. Next up, the 1945 Jefferson Nickel, minted during the midst of World War II, is one of the standout issues in the Jefferson Nickel series, both because of its historical significance and the various condition-based values that have emerged for this coin. The Nickel series, which was introduced in 1938, was designed by Felix Schlag, featuring a portrait of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, and Monticello, his Virginia estate, on the reverse. In 1945, the United States was still heavily involved in World War II, which had a direct impact on coin production. Many metals used in coinage, including nickel, were essential for the war effort. The U.S. government responded by altering the composition of the coins. The wartime nickel, made of a mix of 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese, was introduced to save the nickel for military use. These wartime nickels are distinguished by their unique alloy and their role in supporting the war effort. The 1945 coin, in particular, represents the final year of this change. The large date variety, characterized by numerals that appear slightly larger and more pronounced than the standard 1945 issue, is a notable feature of this coin. The S mint mark, indicating that it was produced in the San Francisco Mint, adds to its rarity and collectability. Even though this coin was produced in high quantities, over 119 million examples, the wear and tear over time, coupled with the high demand from collectors, has made this particular coin an interesting subject for value assessment. Despite the 1945 Jefferson Nickel's relatively high mintage, its value in today's market can still be surprisingly high, especially when found in certain conditions. The circulated dirty condition, which refers to coins that have been heavily worn, often through handling or being exposed to the elements, might not seem like it would fetch a significant price. However, when combined with the large date and S mint mark, it still garners interest. In today's auction market, this coin, in a circulated dirty condition, typically sells for a range of $25,200 depending on its exact wear level, rarity of specific details, and the particular interest of the buyer. Despite being heavily circulated, some collectors are willing to pay a premium for a coin that represents an important year in U.S. history. If the coin is in better condition, such as in fine or very fine status. Its value can reach up to $30,800 and higher for coins with clear and sharp features. The market for such coins is buoyed by a mix of factors: its wartime history, the rare S mint mark, and the large date variation all make this coin a key piece in a complete Jefferson nickel collection. The 1945 Jefferson nickel has a mintage of 119,740,000, which may seem high compared to other rarer coins, but it was the composition of these coins that sets it apart from others. This nickel has the historical weight of the wartime effort and the interesting design of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. It was one of the final years of the wartime composition before the coin was returned to the standard 75% copper and 25% nickel mixture. On the obverse, we find a portrait of President Jefferson, facing left. The coin's reverse showcases Monticello, the Virginia estate that belonged to Jefferson, designed with architectural precision. These design features, coupled with the mint mark, contribute to the visual appeal and collectability of the coin. While the 1945 Jefferson nickel isn't known for any major mint errors, the large date variety does pique the interest of collectors, especially since the difference in date size is sometimes subtle to the untrained eye. This small error has become a significant detail for those looking to complete a series or invest in specific mint varieties. Collectors also pay attention to the condition of the coin. An example in good condition, though dirty or with heavy circulation, is still prized for being an authentic piece from an important time in U.S. history. The slight variance in the size of the date and mint mark is often a subject of debate, with some collectors seeing it as an error, while others believe it to be part of the regular design. Next up, almost a decade to 1954. By this time, the United States had moved into a post-war era, and coinage once again resumed normal production with the standard nickel alloy. The Jefferson nickel from 1954 marks a return to regular minting procedures after the wartime restrictions. These nickels were minted in large quantities to keep up with the country's growing need for small denomination currency. This specific issue features a large date variety, where the numerals of the year are noticeably larger than those of the regular variety. However, the coin we're discussing today, the 1954 Jefferson nickel with a D mint mark, is even more interesting due to its color-changed lamination damage. Lamination errors are fascinating occurrences in coin production that happen when the metal layers of a coin do not properly bond during minting, causing the surface to peel or chip off. This can often result in discoloration, which makes the coin look unusual and is a defining feature for collectors who are interested in error coins. The 1954 Jefferson nickel with color change and lamination damage holds a unique spot in the market for error coin collectors. Although most coins in average circulated condition are valued in the $26,500 range, coins with unique errors like lamination issues attract much more attention. A nickel with lamination damage could range $50,000 depending on the severity of the damage, the amount of discoloration, and whether the damage is clear enough to be identifiable as an error. Collectors of Jefferson nickels, particularly those focused on error coins, will find this particular example especially intriguing. As error coins, they are much rarer, and thus have a more dedicated following. If in a pristine condition despite the damage, this coin could sell for $78,000 or more. The mintage for the 1954 Jefferson nickel was a hefty $116,460,000, which is standard for coins of this period. These coins were not intended to be rare or limited in production, but their distinct errors make them attractive to collectors. The design remains largely unchanged from earlier years. The obverse features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson, and the reverse showcases Monticello. The D mint mark signifies that the coin was produced at the Denver Mint. The size of the date on this coin, while not an error in itself, sets it apart from other years and adds a layer of interest for those building a complete collection of Jefferson nickels. The large date, though not a true mint error, is a design characteristic that some collectors seek out. The lamination error seen in the 1954 Jefferson nickel is a particularly sought-after anomaly. It is not something that happens to every coin, making these examples rarer than the run-of-the-mill issues. Error coin collectors prize these pieces for their imperfections, as they are an indication of the randomness and unpredictability of minting processes. In terms of collector interest, coins with lamination errors have a strong following. Many collectors actively search for coins with unique errors that set them apart from more common varieties. The 1954 Jefferson Nickel, with lamination damage, is an excellent example of how even damaged coins can gain significant value, especially when the error is dramatic enough to be noticed easily. Next up, coin of the day is a 1960 Monticello 5-cent Jefferson nickel, featuring the large date with a D mint mark. For those unfamiliar, the Jefferson nickel is one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history, but this particular 1960 issue, especially in fine condition, is highly valued today by collectors and investors. But what makes this coin so special, and why is it considered valuable in today's market? Let's start with the history. The 1960 Jefferson nickel was minted during a time when the United States was undergoing significant economic changes. Post-World War II, America had seen a boom in consumer spending and a growing interest in coin collecting. This period also marked the era when coinage was transitioning from the earlier designs into new minting practices. The 1960 nickel, like others from this period, features the iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, designed by Felix Schlag. The reverse shows Monticello, Jefferson's home, and was designed by the same artist. However, this particular coin stands out because of the large date variety. The large date 1960 was the result of a minting error that occurred during production, where the 0 in the year was stamped in a larger font, which later became a collectible feature. In total, over 120,001,960 Jefferson nickels were minted, with a sizable portion being struck at the Denver Mint, making the D mint mark particularly noteworthy. However, the coin in question, one that is in fine, circulated condition, has become one of the more valuable examples in the market. The condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining its value. A nickel in fine condition typically features some wear and tear from circulation, but it should still show clear details, making it appealing to collectors. Today, a 1960 Jefferson nickel with a large date and a D mint mark in fine condition can be valued anywhere from $33,000 depending on the specific auction and market conditions. The value can increase dramatically if the coin is in higher grades, such as very fine or extra fine design. Features and collector interest. The design of the 1960 Jefferson nickel was influenced by the desire to reflect the historical importance of Thomas Jefferson, one of America's founding fathers, and his contributions to the country's development. The obverse features a well-known portrait of Jefferson, while the reverse showcases Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, as a symbol of his lasting legacy in American history. The interest in this coin is largely due to both its design and the unique large date error. Error coins, especially those from the mid-20th century, tend to draw a lot of attention from collectors who are eager to find pieces that show an anomaly or rare feature. The 1960 large date variety has long been a favorite among collectors because of its rarity and historical significance. In recent years, the market for 1960 Jefferson nickels, especially those with the large date and D mint mark, has been on the rise. Coin collectors have become more focused on obtaining specific varieties, and the error coins from this period are seen as investments that will continue to appreciate over time. While the values may fluctuate, the overall trend is positive, as more collectors enter the market and the number of available high-quality specimens diminishes. Next up, we have another Monticello 5-cent Jefferson nickel from 1946. But this time we're looking at the large date variety, and it's particularly rare when it doesn't have a mint mark. While the 1946 nickel isn't as well known as its 1960 counterpart, it still holds a significant place in numismatic history. But what makes this coin special, and why is it fetching such high values today? 1946 was a year of transition in the United States. After the end of World War II, the country was focused on rebuilding and returning to normalcy. The minting of coins in 1946 reflected these changing times. The Jefferson nickel was part of the efforts to honor Thomas Jefferson, and the design, as with all Jefferson nickels, was the result of the work of Felix Schlag, who won a design competition for the coin in the 1930s. In 1946, the mint struck a variety of nickels with different mint marks. The coins were produced at various mints, including those in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. However, the Philadelphia Mint often struck coins without a mint mark, making these examples more unique. The large date refers to a specific feature in the minting process that resulted in a larger font for the 46 year on the coin's obverse. According to mintage records, the 1946 Jefferson nickel had a fairly substantial production run, with more than 115 million coins minted that year. However, the coins without the mint mark, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, are considered rarer compared to those that carry a mint mark. This scarcity factor contributes significantly to the coin's appeal in the marketplace. In circulated condition, the value of the 1946 large date without a mint mark can range from $88,000 depending on the level of wear and the overall condition of the coin. Higher-grade specimens, such as those in very fine or extra-fine condition, can command higher prices, sometimes reaching values of $100,000 or more. Similar to the 1960 nickel, the design of the 1946 coin features the well-known portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, alongside the Monticello building on the reverse. This imagery ties back to Jefferson's legacy as both a political leader and a visionary for the United States. The interest in this coin is driven by both the historical significance of the Jefferson nickel and the scarcity of the 1946 version without a mint mark. Error coins and rare variations like this one tend to generate significant buzz among collectors, especially those who focus on the unique and collectible aspects of U.S. coinage. Like many coins from this era, the 1946 large date nickel without a mint mark has become a popular target for collectors who seek out historical coins with rare features. While it might not be as valuable as some of the more famous error coins, it holds an important place within the community. The market for this coin is steadily growing, with collectors willing to pay a premium for specimens in higher grades or those with minimal circulation wear. Thank you for joining me on this journey through these valuable coins. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more insights into rare and collectible coins. Until next time, keep collecting.